My name is Will Coper. I'm a contributing writer for the American Observer. I've also been working in restaurants and catering for the better part of 10 years. Last Sunday, I met with this week's managing editor, Catherine Yao, to show her and our readers how to make a simple holiday meal that would be good for those of us who won't be able to make it home for the holidays. We made 3 dishes: a boneless chicken with a traditional bread stuffing, a chipotle sweet potato casserole, and some Brussels sprouts sautéed with butter and garlic. The whole thing took about 3 hours to complete, and the results were well worth the effort. We started with the stuffing in order to let it cool while we prepared the chicken. We chopped about 3 ribs of celery, a little bit of red onion, a clove of garlic, and about 2/3 of the loaf of good rustic French bread. We heated 2 tablespoons of butter in a large sauté pan and cooked the vegetables along with a little bit of fresh thyme and salt and pepper over high heat for about 5 minutes until the onions and celery started to soften. We turned the heat down a little, added the bread, and sautéed for another 3 minutes or so, then added a cup of chicken stock and kept cooking until the bread started to turn a little mushy. We took it off the heat and added about 2 tablespoons of heavy cream to help the stuffing hold together when we cooked it inside the chicken. As the stuffing cooled, we preheated our oven to 450 degrees and turned our attention to the chicken. Deboning a chicken is a little tricky, but it's a nice way to turn an otherwise ordinary dish into something a little bit more festive. You want to start by removing the wishbone, which is just inside the neck. Feel around for it first with your fingers, and then take it out by cutting around it on all sides with the point of a small knife. Once you've got the wishbone out, lay the chicken breast side down on the cutting board, and twist each leg and wing to pop out the joints. Now, start cutting down one side of the spine. You want to make lots of small cuts, and use your fingers to peel the meat away from the rib cage. When you get to the leg joint, use the point of your knife to separate the leg from the carcass. Do the same thing for the wing joint. When you get to the keel bone, stop and repeat the same steps to cut the flesh away from the carcass on the other side of the spine. With the rib cage out, you can start cutting away the keel bone, but be careful not to cut through the skin. Now, use the knife to scrape the thigh meat off the bone. When you reach the knee, you will need to cut around it. This is tricky, but just be patient and take your time with it. After the knee, scrape the meat from the drumstick. When you reach the end of the drumstick, turn the leg right side out and use the back of a large knife to break the bone near the end of the leg. After that, you should be able to pull the leg bones out while leaving the end of the drumstick still attached. Repeat the same process on the other side. Now the chicken is ready for stuffing. Start with the legs, then spread a nice even layer over the rest of the meat. Now gently push the sides of the chicken together to close it and use butcher's twine to tie it together. Loop it around the body near the wings first, tie a tight knot, then make another loop with the twine and loop it around the body, tightening as you go. When you reach the thighs, tie a good tight knot. Season the chicken with plenty of salt and pepper and toss it in the oven. Set the timer for 30 minutes, and when it goes off, you're going to need to flip the chicken and turn the oven down to 350. With the bird roasting, it's time to work on some sides. If you're following along at home, take heart. The hard part is over. In this blender, we've got half a pint of heavy cream, minus the 2 tablespoons we used in the stuffing, along with half a can of chipotle peppers and adobo sauce, a teaspoon of ground allspice, and a little bit of salt. We're only pulsing it for a few seconds to get the peppers pureed a bit. If you do it too long, you'll end up with chipotle whipped cream. For the crust, we're mixing a cup of brown sugar with a cup of pecans, 2 tablespoons of butter, and another teaspoon of allspice. If you don't have a food processor, you can crush the pecans with a rolling pin or mallet and mix the ingredients by hand. Now we've got the cream mixture in a large mixing bowl, and we're going to use a mandolin to slice 1.5 pounds of peeled sweet potatoes right into the bowl. Use your hands to toss the sweet potatoes in order to coat them evenly without breaking them too much. After that, we're going to layer the slices in a 9-inch cake pan and pour the rest of the heavy cream mixture over the top. Sprinkle the pecan crust on in an even layer and put the casserole in the oven after you flip the chicken over. Set the timer for 40 minutes. I like julienne Brussels sprouts because they're quick and easy. Just peel off the dark green outer leaves and slice them on a mandolin. Now chop up 2 cloves of garlic. Since the sprouts will only take a few minutes to cook, I recommend waiting until the second timer goes off. When you're ready, melt about 2 tablespoons of butter in a large sauté pan over high heat. When the butter is melted, add the garlic. When the butter starts to foam, add the sprouts. Stir it around to get the garlic off the bottom of the pan, then let it sit for a minute before stirring it again. Take the pan off the heat when the sprouts are tender and they've started to brown a little. By this time, your chicken is golden brown and the juices are running clear. Your casserole has a beautiful crust and the sweet potatoes pierce easily with a fork. Now, all that's left to do is pop a nice bottle of wine, grab a few close friends, and dig in. Bon appetit from all of us at The Observer, and happy holidays, wherever they find you.